Tomb Raider is the new adaptation from the popular video game series, so here we are with another video game movie. And we know that these never fare well. Well, at least haven't so far.
No.
Really, I can't really name like a fantastic video game movie.
Well, it's funny, right before the movie started, you're like, what, before going into this movie, what would I say is the best video game movie? And I was like, probably the original Tomb Raider by default.
Right.
And you said...
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat, right. Which is like, there's no right or wrong answer to it, really. Video game movies like range from terrible to meh. There hasn't been like a good one or even like really an okay one, you know?
No, and so, I mean, with Tomb Raider, do you like the video games?
I did like the video games, but honestly, I did what most people did once Uncharted came out. Completely forgot about Tomb Raider because just Uncharted was like a upgraded, more fun version. But, you know, thinking back to that old movie with Angelina Jolie, this time around we have Alicia Vikander playing Lara Croft. And I gotta say, I really liked her in this role. I thought that the problem with the original Tomb Raider movie was that Angelina Jolie's like this big badass already.
Right.
Like the movie starts with her, she's on top of her game, and it's just, this challenge that gets thrown at her. She easily does away with it. But with Alicia Vikander's performance in this one, I felt that she had a real vulnerability to her.
I agree.
And that, you know, she had challenges. She wasn't some badass from the get, you know. She was almost like some kind of street tough kid.
Yeah.
Who has this billions of dollars inheritance that she refuses to accept.
Yeah.
She refuses to accept that her missing father is dead.
Right. It's like wasted potential. That's what she starts off as.
It's perfect way to put it.
Yeah, it's wasted potential. And I did play the most recent two Tomb Raider games, which this follows very closely to that. It doesn't really touch base much on the older video games. This is the newer, like, upgraded, Uncharted-esque Tomb Raiders that they're doing the source material on. And I will say that they did nail the feel of those games. There is, you know, this growth of Laura. You discover who she is, and she goes through basically getting her ass kicked on this island. Like, she just gets brutalized through this whole thing, which can make her come across a little superhero-esque. So that, in the video game, I'm like, it's excusable because the gameplay is so good in the video game. In the movie, she kind of takes a lot of hits that I would be like, I don't know if you'd be able to get up from that.
Yeah, there is that kind of, you're right, it is superhero-esque. Like, all these wounds and things that she's suffering through, she does seem to persevere through them. But at the same time, there are moments where, like, when she's hurt and she's wounded.
She's hurt.
Yeah. And she shows it, you know, and I think that they handled that well. I'm glad it wasn't just like, you know, back on with the mission type thing. You know, she did have a moment
limping
there.
and she's holding it the whole time.
Right. So I'm glad that they committed to that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about just the overall direction and pacing of this movie.
Okay.
What did you think about the pacing? Was there any slow parts? Do you feel anything got too rushed?
Well, the pacing is my biggest problem with this movie. I will think that this was a pretty well-made movie, but the pacing for me, I felt like there was probably 2 full scenes that could have been left out and replaced with some more tomb raiding. Like, I'm glad that they built her character up, but I felt like it took a little too long to get on the island. And then while we were on the island, I felt like it wrapped up too quickly as well. I didn't feel like there was enough adventure.
Yeah, I feel like this was very origin story heavy. The pacing, there wasn't really any problems with this for me, pacing-wise. I think story structure, because at the very beginning you're told about this, you know, ancient deity who's, you know, had placed this curse upon mankind. And then you go through Lara Croft's origin or story or exposition and everything. Right. And by the time you get back to all the mystical stuff, I completely forgot, like, who this deity was that could unleash this and what unleashing it would mean. It was just like, all right, so it was just like, okay, generic, godlike creature, mummy, it'll destroy the world.
Yeah.
Then,
well, exposition off the bat during the credits.
Right, and then, like, you know, 20 minutes later when it all picks up again, I'm like, wait.
Why
did they start at the beginning with that? You know, just it wasn't pacing for much of me as structure.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that, and I agree with you there. And there was just some useless scenes for me where I'm like, that could have been left out and replaced with something else to prove herself who she is. There's a biking scene where I'm like, this is going on for a really long time, and it never really translates to. I mean, yeah, she's a rebel and she takes a lot of chances and she's clever on her feet, but the biking I felt like could have been left out or cut short.
There are some scenes that really lack subtlety. I think that scene was just like, she does have an adventurous spirit kind of thing. It was just a little too like, hey, here's the message right in your face. You know?
Yeah. Also, one of my issues, again, a fairly small issue, and that is the dad character here. I know. So second week in a row, we get a girl looking for her dad.
That's true.
But, I mean, it's not that I liked the relationship between her and the dad, but I felt like he shouldn't have been in it all that much. I want him to be more of a guide, and that's what he is in the video game. He's more of these tape recordings that she follows along to sort of give her more hints to progress the plot forward. And in this, I think he's just too much of a key component.
Okay, so it's the amount of the dad,
Correct.
not the dad's performance.
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the dad's performance was fine to me.
Okay, because I was going to say, that's Dominic West. I'm a big fan of The Wire. That's McNulty.
No.
Don't you dare speak ill of McNulty.
I have no problem with the cast in this film. It's really the inclusion of the dad and how much of a role he plays in this as a character.
Right.
I think that it was just too shoehorned in there, and it was just too much.
I think that if I did have a problem with the pacing at any point, that would be the point when they reunite. Like, there's a nice moment between them when they reunite. I did like the relationship like you did.
Yeah.
But it's just like the story just kind of stopped dead in its tracks when it got there, and then it just took a little while to get it going again.
Yeah, but all in all, I would say that there are some set pieces in this that were very entertaining. I really liked the airplane scene on the waterfall and the river. That was a really, really cool scene. The boat scene and all the action, to me, was pretty well handled. Not too shaky, not too all over the place. It was very understandable.
Yeah, it was very well executed. Nothing, remarkably stand out, but definitely nothing where it's like an eyesore or things are too jumbled, you can't understand what's going on.
Right, and one thing that I will point out that the video game does this as well, where she goes sort of from like really vulnerable, don't know how to deal with the situation, to boom, she's a superhero and she's running around, she's killing people and she has no problem with it. That was a huge issue for me in the video game, and it's kind of in here as well. Because in a video game, like, I just want to get back to the action and climbing walls and shooting, bad guys and all that type of stuff. But in this, you have to add a little bit more substance to it, I think. And I think they maybe follow the source material a little too closely.
Buffs.
All right, so we saw yet another video game adaptation. Dennis, but your final thoughts to it and a score?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because the bar is so low for video game movies that a good movie was like great when it comes to the echelon of video game movies. And I think that where Alicia Vikander's husband, Michael Fassbender, failed a couple years ago in Assassin's Creed, she succeeded in this one and made a good video game movie. There's finally one out there. I'll give Tomb Raider a 7.5 out of 10.
Wow, that's high. I agree. This is a pretty good video game movie. They did it. Finally.
I'm looking forward to Rampage now.
I'm really looking forward to Rampage. I know Rampage is going to be better than this. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But
Mark it
for the most part, I did enjoy Tomb Raider. I think it's pretty generic in general and follows the source material too much, but I enjoyed myself and I will recommend it. So I'm going to go 6.5 lower, but still, I would say, see it. I think you'll have a good time.
Buffs.
So that's our review of Tomb Raider. Have you seen the movie? Do you plan on seeing the movie, or do you even like the video games? Leave all your comments down below.
Join us next week when we review Isle of Dogs, the new Wes Anderson movie. We've been looking forward to this one a while. We've been cycling back through the catalog. That's been a lot of fun. So we'll bring you that review next week. But until then, don't forget,
there's no place like the theater.